So I know that you actually went to 2 prestigious schools in Taiwan. It's like the dream of every girl or something, every child, and parents, is that you went to the most prestigious, Taipei First Girls High School and also the National Taiwan University.
Right.
Now, that's a dream of everybody. What do you think your experience was, and do you recommend that to the parents these days? Because they care more than the child, themselves, about going to these really pressurized schools. Wouldn't you say there's just so much pressure going to these schools?
But pressure makes you grow.
Okay, so you're one of
those
who
makes
great.
You grow.
Yeah.
I think people often ask, how do we get to be more international competitive? Competition makes you competitive. You have to go through competition. The pressure and the competition itself is a part of the growth process. If we look at your life, when you were born at age 0, there are no pressure and there are no expectations. If you eat or drink or even do something crazy, parents are simply happy because you do it. When you are in, say, ABC, when I first went into ABC when I was 29 years old, the company, the corporation, the society asks you to be able to withhold this much pressure. So from 0 to this much is this long learning process. If you don't learn it during your school years, where are you going to have the endurance, the perseverance, the ability to withstand challenges, all these wonderful things that make you a strong person? Where are you going to have this? If you look at my education process, I went to a public elementary school, Zhongshan Guoxiao, nearby. I went into a public junior high school, Bei'an Guozhou, again nearby. Then I went into public high school, public university. So don't for any minute think that you need to go to special education in order to ascend. You can go through a regular education process in Taiwan and still have the world as your stage. When I went to Philadelphia for the University of Pennsylvania, or to New York for ABC, or back to Singapore for Bearing Communications Equity Asia, all of these wonderful things were based on those solid education I received in Taiwan. And those were public education. I didn't go to any tutor. I didn't go to any private tutorial schools. None at all. But the school itself, every single one of them gave me huge opportunity to break through. This is the point. The schools in Taiwan always had huge restrictions. They wanted students to be in conformity, even in your growth process and your learning process. It almost didn't care much of your cognitive differences. But in every stage of my learning, I was always the outliner. I was always very different. I listened to my own drum, so I'm what they call the different drummer. I listened to my own drum beat and I did crazy things. That's why I said I can't wait to break through. I always try to escape from what the restrictions are.
Right.
But you can be a child like that and still have the world as your stage. And just like you can be a child like that and ascend, go into the best possible schools through competition and proving that you can also compete. And I think when you talked about Taipei First Girls High or National Taipei Universities, those were my only redemptions. If I didn't really at some point saying to myself, come back and you have to be able to compete, come back to study whatever, if I didn't do that, I would be seen as an outcast in many ways. But because I always came back to compete and got into what people recognized, I got more freedom, I got more opportunities, and in fact, I got more people endorsing my dreams.
But the thing is, you know, spending all that time studying and working so hard and not having fun.
I didn't study. I had a lot of fun.
Oh, well, see, you're okay. I'm just talking to someone who's just unusual, probably. Unique, you know, an exception. Because I think...
my grades were horrible in the first and second year in high school. First, second, and third year in college. My grades were horrible because I was doing all sorts of other things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. In high school, actually, a lot of my fellow schoolmates may remember, in high school, every summer, every winter, I was always out there in the mountains, in the seashore, somewhere in Taiwan. During school years, I was singing, dancing, teaching people how to dance, doing all sorts of crazy things. I never studied.
Oh, well, this I didn't know about you. Well, that's good to know. Okay.
You can, actually, you can choose. You can't have both worlds. You can walk and chew gum at the same time.
Except that you know how this cram school, you know, culture is in Taiwan.
And I never went to any cram school.
See?
See, that's the important part.
Yeah, we should be telling the parents, right?
Right.
Don't send your kids to cram school.
You don't need to occupy every single moment of your child's life. If you do that, you deprive that person of their own exploration of the world.
Okay, so, well, there's one thing about you, your personality being very outgoing and willing to take on different things and
crazy,
learning and
challenging.
And on the other hand, you've got supportive parents who doesn't tell you like study, and no.
My parents didn't know my grades were horrible.
To this day?
My father probably didn't even know my grades were horrible. You know, I didn't give him my report cards.
Yeah. How did you manage to do that?
Oh, I took it from the envelope. I took it from our mailbox and signed the name myself.
Seriously?
Seriously.
Wow. We're revealing all kinds of secrets about Joanna today. So.
Right.
Oh,